Do you ever feel like maybe you've wasted your life away? Sometimes I've been feeling like that. You know what I mean? I'm almost 30 years old. Right now, I am 27. I turned 28 in November. It's tough. I mean, well, not tough. It feels weird. You think about your life growing up, you're like, man, I got such a long life ahead of me. You know what I mean? And I think that's still true. But now that I'm only a couple years away to hitting 30, it feels surreal almost. My whole life I've been gaming. I used to think that maybe I wasted my 20s. I feel like I have a different view. I feel like you can paint a picture in your head and remember all the good things, all the bad things, all the okay things, or just remember all the good things that you did in your 20s or even before. I've been gaming as long as I could honestly remember, probably since I was about 12. My dad got me an Xbox 360 that he had gotten from my older brother's girlfriend that had brought it over because they didn't need it, so they sold it to my dad. Long-ish story. But anyways, I got an Xbox. That was my console growing up. Amazing. I was always an introverted kid. I didn't feel like talking to people. I still to this day don't really like talking to people. I'm very closed in. It doesn't mean I'm like that I hate people. I just don't feel comfortable always talking to people or feeling like I have to talk to people. But if you talk to me, I'm going to talk to you. That's just how it is. That's how it should be. I'm not going to be mean. I'm such a nice person. And at the end of the day, truly. We're rolling back to my first consoles and game memories. I had so much fun growing up, I'm going to be honest. I guess 12 years old, I was on the PS2. Not when the PS2 came out, obviously. That's a long time ago. But anyways, I grew up playing games. My dad had like an old computer that I would play games on. Or play a game on. I can't remember the game that I would play. Played various games, Call of Duty, Gears of War, Minecraft. Watching YouTube my whole life. I love watching YouTube videos. Game memories. Battlefield was a big one too. Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4. Those old fun games, that you grew up with and you just cannot forget them. Doesn't matter what happens. And I'll never forget them. I think the reason that I started playing games a lot, and let me preface this too, I did go outside and play a lot when I was younger. I still did around that time when I even got my Xbox. I would still go outside. I was a big skateboarder, not so much anymore, just a little bit fatter. But I love skateboarding, playing sports. I played soccer when I was younger. I tried to make friends, which I did. I had a few friends, had a lot of friends growing up that I still talk to this day. Had even more friends in high school that I still talk to this day as well. You have a true friend growing up when you're able to talk to them, or even if it's been years and you haven't talked to them, you can just hit it right back up. I want to talk about when I think that I quote unquote wasted my time. It feels like now that I've wasted it. I don't think you can realize that you've wasted it when you're in your early 20s or even in your mid 20s, like 25. I guess I'm still kind of mid 20s. But when I turn 28, I feel like, oh man, I'm almost 30, even though it does right now, and it's easy to compare yourself to other people. Like I think about that all the time. I even compare myself to my dad. As a son, you want to grow up to be just like your dad. You want to be successful. You want to make him proud. And I feel like I have made him proud. I'm not in the streets doing stupid stuff, I'm just at home playing games. I feel like the typical stereotype for gamers is always there. That's what I feel like. I feel like people talk bad about it. They say, oh, you're just a gamer. You have no life. You're a nerd. Touch grass. Shit like that. You know what I mean? I don't think that's true. I'm just enjoying what I want to enjoy throughout my day, throughout my week, throughout my months, throughout the year. Other people or anyone, everyone does it in their own way. I feel like it's just what you want to do. And I always felt like gaming was my escape, but I don't feel guilty. I've made real friends online. I've met real people from online in real life. It's true that they can be your true friends, but I also have plenty of friends, probably just like everybody watching this video or anybody in the world. I have other friends online that I talk to daily, play games with daily, try to catch up with daily, try to keep those relationships. It's just fun. Gaming alone always sucks. I mean, if you're in that situation, you got to find some people, unless you're content with it. I wasn't, or I still not. Sometimes I play alone, but I always feel like it's better to play with your homies. You know what I mean? Gaming has also taught me, a lot of things about myself, whether it be problem solving, having patience, teamwork, obviously, You gotta have teamwork when you're gaming, obviously. It's definitely helped in rough times. We all remember COVID. Thankfully, I still got to work during those times, but I know a lot of people lost their jobs. Everybody did. And I feel like gaming was the biggest part of COVID. That's not only the roughest time, obviously, but that's a big one that everybody can remember and maybe reflect on. And rolling back to how everyone has their own maybe hobbies, you know, my hobby is gaming. Your hobby might be dealing with cars. Someone else's hobby might be arts and crafts, you know, others reading, going outside, naturing. I don't give a fuck about nature. My dad wants me to. Maybe I'm too closed in. Again, that can roll back again to the guilt part. Maybe, but I don't know. I don't see it that way. I feel like gaming also sparks creativity, like YouTube. There's plenty of gaming YouTubers out there, even new people that are just getting into streaming or making videos. I mean, hell, it inspired me. Everyone has their own unique person that they've watched growing up. That's not the reason I'm making this video, obviously, but having an online presence, learning with other people, it sparks creativity. It shapes me into who I am. I feel like, you know, I can talk to someone if I need to. I'm kind of bad at starting conversations, obviously, but if you talk to me, I'm like, oh yeah, what's up, blah, 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 let's do this, yeah. Moving forward, I feel like I will always be gaming. There's never going to be a time, for me at least, where I'm not going to be gaming. I don't know if that's a bad or a good thing, though. I feel like it's just the way that you manage it, because time and joy doesn't always have to be time wasted. You have to balance each and everything that you do in life and make sure that your responsibilities are set in stone. I'm sure you guys have all heard the term work hard, play hard. Work harder, play harder. Working and playing goes hand in hand. And I also feel like even if you're going into your late 30s, or even if you're going into your mid 30s, or even if you're turning 20 and you feel like, you know, life's over, like, no, you still have so much of your life to go. You still have so many goals that you can set. Doesn't matter if you're 30, 40, 50, 60, you can always set a goal. You can plan to do something. You can learn new skills. You can read anything. We live in the technology age, making it so much easier to do anything that we want. I mean, it's insane, honestly. My dad always tells me, oh, you're so lucky to have all this technology growing up. You know, but you still have to put in the work for whatever you want to do. I just feel like mine was swept away from me because gaming, but realizing it's not that bad. You know, there's a quote that I found. Actually, I didn't find it. I asked ChatGPT to make me a little quote that kind of ties all this around, and I want to read it to you. It says, if you love something, it's never wasted time. Just make sure tomorrow you are living in a way that the future you will thank you for. You know, I feel like that's a really good point to make.